Hello and welcome to the AOSC Super Series live on the iRacing Esports Network. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me is Daniel Leet and Matthew Norris. Scott Newton operating the cameras for this round 12 of the championship. We are here at a legendary circuit located in Belgium. It is Spa, a track we all know and love. Going into this round, James Scott taking 11 wins out of 12. Can he make it 12 out of 13 going into this round of the championship? We are going to find out pretty soon in this 150-kilometer race, just over an hour in length. Daniel, so far, of course, it's been absolute domination from James Scott. We saw a brilliant round, though, last time at Daytona. That was a bit of a slipstream circuit. It offers an opportunity for a couple of drivers to maybe mix about. Potentially, we could see the same thing here. We've got some long straights around this track. Also, all the drivers know this place like the back of their hand. Obviously, we visit here most seasons. We did visit here last season, of course, as well. And so potentially we could see a pretty close field out here around this, very good circuit.
Yeah, good evening, Sam, and to all the viewers tuning in. Great to have you back after the 3 weeks hiatus that we've had for the AOSC series. Daytona last time out, though, fantastic race. 300 Ks, single driver enduro. It came down to the very end. Our top three not separated by much at all. It was less than a second between Scott, Ross, and Briggs. And towards the end, it was a bit of a who's who, and it was really hard to pick the strategy outcome that everyone was planning to run. Obviously, going on to Spa tonight, completely different style of circuit. We've gone away from the big banked oval of Daytona back to a more traditional GP layout, which is really going to challenge these cars. Obviously, we've got the long straights down the Camel Straight, some really tight braking, a lot of lateral load going to be applied to these cars as they work their way down through the middle portion of the circuit around Blanchimont and then up into heavy braking zones through the chicane and down into Lacombe. So really unique circuit, going to challenge these drivers. And from what we saw last season with the 650k event, really open for a lot of great strategies and some really unique setup options for these drivers.
Yeah, could perhaps see a bit of a divide in what philosophy these drivers opt for, what teams, which teams go for which setup. Just a reminder as well, of course, big thanks to the iRacing Esports Network for these past couple of years, of course, hosting this stream. Unfortunately, the Esports Network isn't going to be a thing in a couple of weeks' time. On the 30th of November, it's shutting down. And so just a heads up, if you're going to watch future rounds of the AOSC Super Series, so if you're going to watch the conclusion of the championship, you're going to have to go to Apex Racing TV instead. That will be the channel that we are broadcasting this series on. So there'll be no Esports Network in a few weeks' time. So go to Apex Racing TV to catch this stream and also the Aussie Mixed and Picks GT Championship, and also the ARL TC Championship, the ARL GT Championship, and loads of other stuff that we're currently broadcasting on the Esports Network that won't be available anymore. So do go to Apex Racing TV to catch all of that in the near future. Big thanks to all our sponsors for this championship. They really do make this series possible. So Kita providing height, safety, and rigging equipment. Jinx shifters, Aussie-made premium shifters, and also brake bias and ARB adjusters as well, all for sim racing. Race Circuit Arts Australia, making high-quality CNC race circuits. Gear Imagery, doing sim race and digital imagery, and of course doing the action shots for each round of this series. Wolf Graphics, Aussie-made stickers, and also Western Master, Too Easy Finance, and Parramatta Isuzu Ute, which are all Sydney car dealers, led by Jamie McKnight. So thanks to all of those guys for helping out the championship, really making it as professional as it is. And really thanks for their continued support. In the championship, can we say it's all done and dusted? I mean, I don't want to say it because we've still got quarters of the season to go. We've got 16 rounds this championship. We've still got 5 races to go, including this one. And yet, when you look at it like that, 1,100 points clear of the rest of the order. This is domination that we rarely see in any iRacing championship. This from James Scott.
Yeah, g'day Sam, g'day everyone. I've got to say, when you win 11 from 12 races, you sort of going to have a points haul, like you've seen on screen there. It's just been domination, as you've said, and I don't see why we can't say it. He does have, like you say, 5 more races to win this season. There'll be a few other drivers tonight banging on the door and making sure he doesn't try and win it, but he'll be wanting to win it. I would pretty say he's comfortable there. Jordan Ross has got a lot of work to do to get that one done.
Yeah, it's a fantastic fight for second place, though, to be fair. It's changed every round. Shepherd and Ross, in particular, have been occupying that second place for the whole season. Briggs, after a very strong start to the season, DPR looked really good in the first few rounds, just dropped off slightly in fourth. And Geordie Sidney having a great run of form, one of the most improved drivers, I think, this season. Top of the, or second place out of the CNG Sim Racing drivers. We've also got Tom Freer, I believe, moving to CNG Sim Racing, which is quite exciting, really just bolstering that team, who have pretty much become the second most competitive team this season. So we'll certainly watch out for them. Has been a poor season though for Tom Freer. Of course, former podium sitter last season down in 27th place. Let's see if he can improve this in this round and in the remaining rounds of this championship. Currently, we are in a qualifying session, which will set the grid, and in fact, the checker flag is out. So it is a long lap round this place, and the drivers can finish the lap that they started after the checker flag has come out. Here's Jimmy McKnight, one of the drivers out there. And you can see on the left side of your screen the current positions, unlikely to change too much from that, and we will go through your grid in just a little while. I was racing around here in a kind of a similar car in the Porsche Porsche Cup 911 car the other day, Daniel, and the final few corners around this place are so tricky. The fact that you got those two right-handers, I think it's Stabilo, isn't it, that you go through, really easy to slide the car down, because here you got to keep it within track temps, get your turn in just right. And then you got the chicane as well, right at the end, where it's so easy to lock a brake and run wide. You can really nail the first half of the track, which isn't easy, but it's a lot easier than the final part of this lap, where it can go so wrong so easily.
Yeah, absolutely balanced. Really key to get the most out of this lap. Obviously, just touched on there, you got the braking up performance out of the car that needs to stay high. You want to make sure the rear's not trying to swap ends on you, coming into a few of those really tricky spots. But then through those high-speed sections, especially through Blanchimont there, you need the balance where the car's going to rotate through that corner. You can carry maximum speed and then set yourself up for a good opportunity to maybe dive down the inside in towards that chicane there. So it's really, really tricky to get the most out of it. As well, we've got to get these cars to last through that 150k range. So you're not going to be out there wanting to fry those tyres the first instance out there, but getting that lap performance where they'll build and come into their own towards the end going to be key.
Yeah, definitely. And it's unsurprising he's been able to nail that so far. There he is, actually, James Scott. Just I don't think this is a legitimate lap time, but he's just out on circuit anyway. And we'll just have a little bit more practice. It's very sunny out there. It's currently 36 degrees. And frighteningly for the drivers, this is only 12:30. And usually in iRacing, as per real life, it gets at its warmest at about 2. So we could see mid-40 degree track temperatures during this race, which is going to eat into these tyres, because, I mean, a lot of long corners around this place. In these cars, you're going to be sliding about a lot to get the most amount out of the car. Even in a 150-kilometre race like this, where you can change the tyres, it will be a pretty tricky for the drivers come the end of the race.
Absolutely. It's still going to be a tyre terror, if you want to call it that. And Spa's notorious for its off track, so it's going to be hard to keep the cars on circuit and keep the tyres on the cars in tip-top condition, but no doubt our drivers are up for it.
Yeah, we're about to start gridding up then for this round 12 of the championship. And there he is, I was about to say Tom Scott. Who's Tom? Oh, Tom Scott's a YouTuber that I like. There you go. James Scott. Oh, dear me. Good start. He was 0.6 of a second clear of Philip Worley. That is a huge gap in qualifying. I think that might be the largest gap this season. It is a long circuit, obviously, this, but I really thought it'd be a bit closer around this place. But Philip Worley, great qualifying for DPR there in second place. Jordan Ross lines up in third. Then it's Tom Freer, strong qualifying for him, ahead of Andrew Dyson. And then it's Dylan Rudd, Corey Shepherd, Adam Briggs, a little bit further down than he'd like. He has been struggling a little bit in qualifying as a DPI driver. Damien Johnson starts in 9th. Then it's Ken Latzer, Thomas Hines, Damon Stockton, rounding out the top 12. And then it is Neil Pearson, Cameron Beacock, Jamie Stovald, Brian Borg, Stephen Varga, Jacob Knight, Brett Loxton, Michael Taliancic, Jamie McKnight, Rob Bowden, Christian Smart, and Carl Stokes. Stokes way down the order in 24th. He's got a lot of work to do, and the rest of the drivers will go through for you now, because we've only got about 30 more seconds of gridding up to go. Any kind of real quick drivers near the back? It seems like it's pretty much in order. Not too many drivers out of position for this start. And hopefully that will avoid the mistakes that we'll see, the instance that we see at La Source. Of course, some legendary starts around this track in the past. It's going to have to be a legendary start for Philip Worley in order to take off this lead from James Scott, who has been exceptional from the line so far this season. They've lost pole position once or twice, but for the most part he's been faultless. We're about to find out if he can do it for the 12th time this season. Scott from pole. And we are away racing for 150 kilometres at Spa Francorchamps. Look at the 797 trying to get to the inside, but they're all kind of just held each other up on the inside line. It's getting really early on. The Briggs almost a bit of 4 wide further down the order. And they're all leaving each other a lot of space. Not many drivers going off the circuit through La Source as Worley moves up into the lead, and Scott trying to keep his nose in there. They've got to be careful they don't pick up a slowdown through the first few corners. But that's a miraculous start there from Philip Worley, who looked like he was quite a bit behind. To be fair, going through turn 1, Scott is dropping more places now. He's down to 4th, and look at Ross now going down the inside into Lake Coon. But he just holds back point. He has a terrific drop as we've got a big shunt further down the order. It's not really a pile-up, but quite a few drivers have been involved in that one. Further up at the front, Worley still holding on to that lead. Scott managed to hold on against Dyson. He had the inside line into Lake Cumin, just about managed to hold ahead. But that really came out of nowhere. It's not a particularly long run from La Source down into a region yet. Worley managed to absolutely nail that launch and has got up into the lead. But Scott is already attacking, going into second place, and that is how much speed he has got. And he slots down the inside of his old rival, Jordan Ross.
It looked like a really good jump from everyone getting away the line. It looked like we saw Rob Bowden getting a bit of a rotation just as the guys worked their way through the hairpin, and then it all unfolded down on the Camel Straight there. I think it might have been Loxton with what looked to be a blow-on engine in that car, so not a great run for him and his well down the order. But for Scott there, I think might have just picked up a bit of a slowdown. Obviously did drop those few spots, but managed to get through. Adam Briggs starting to work his way through. He's gained 1 spot already. Damien Johnston right ahead of him. But Tom Freer, who got a phenomenal jump, managed to slot himself into 3rd. He's dropped back a couple of spots now.
I'll guarantee Philip Worley and James Scott did get a cut track from that first initial lap through El Rouge. Both of those cars, you saw the track to drivers right, was immense off track, so that would have been that slowdown down the Camel Straight.
Yeah, I think so. Of course, 1Xs as well you can pick up there. It's kind of a 1X, and then if you go even further, it's a slowdown. And these drivers have got to be careful about that. They will get penalties if they reach 25 instants, which is possible in a 1-hour race. So the drivers head into La Source for the second time. Here's Taliancic. He's had a great start. Taliancic from 20th on the grid. He's up into 13th. He's always a poor qualifier, is Michael. Always much better in the race, and genuinely pursuits are better in the races, although maybe this season it has been a weak campaign. I think by their standards were pretty much the second fastest team last season. Kind of being overtaken by Premier and Synergy and maybe a couple of others. As here comes Scott. He got the toe on Worley all the way from Stablo to the bus stop, and then he can pick up again from La Source to Lake Coombe, and it's got back into the lead. The big test now for Worley is, can he keep up? He's just got a bit of understeer actually through the final part of Lake Coombe, and actually he's going to be overtaken here by Ross, and this is not going to help their chances of keeping up with Scott. They've got to stay within a few tenths of a second in order to be able to put some pressure on him, and this is painful to watch at the moment because we want to see a close race, and already the gap has opened up to 7 tenths. Well, James Scott may have already broken the draft.
Yeah, Scott with a really good run. And while all that was going on, there was a big incident too at the end of the Camel Straight there. Sort of 4 or 5 cars get tangled up. It looks like they've all managed to get themselves back underway now. But Scott getting on with business. The gap 1.7 seconds already, and then he's working his way further forward. Ross just settling in and starting to really apply that pressure on the Welly now. Tom Freer getting back into contention. He's going to have his teammate David Johnson right in behind him as well. So Synergy are really starting to stack up and look at some opportunities ahead. We're only on lap 2, so this is looking very promising for them early on.
Yeah, you want to have plenty of cars near one another if you can. A 2-3-3 of Worley is under big pressure. He's still got a bit of a drop on Scott, but I don't think Ross really it was worth going for that move earlier on in the lap. I think Ross is going to have to go for this move though in order to hold off Dyson, because Dyson's looking very racy just behind, up to 1.1 seconds now out in the lead for James Scott. And that's Worley, Ross, Dyson. This battle goes all the way back to Corey Shepherd, who's always very strong, a bit of a poor qualifying, but Shepherd and not a great start either, but he's looking racy back in 8th as well.
I think sometimes it's better to note with these drivers at the front here, it's better to lose the battle and win the war. They can team up now and catch the back of James Scott, and they can fight each other later, or they can keep taking time off each other and give James Scott that immense lead he's getting.
Yeah, I think to be honest, it's too late for that now, because 1.1 seconds, there's a waft of drop, but it's not enough to keep Worley close. Ross actually moves up into 2nd position, and it does seem to be faster than Worley. Well, that could just be the draft effect. But yeah, Jordan Ross up into 2nd place past Philip Worley now. We are currently on board with Rudd, and he's got Stockton and Borg just in front of him. I think that's Stockton just trying to nip down the inside of Borg. Still staying alongside this part of the circuit, going to have a bit of a revamp in coming years to make it suitable for motorbike racing, which will be pretty great. And going to be a slight change to the layout for No Name. Apart from that, the track will pretty much stay the same with a few gravel chaps. Brian Borg again going side by side, and if the 2nd and 3rd were losing each other time, this is going to lose these guys even more time, and it is Borg who gets ahead. But by no means is this the end of this battle. Talianchis trying to take advantage of this. He might be up into 12th place past VCOG soon.
Yeah, keep an eye there too on the other Premier El Pursuit car involved in this as well. They're looking to get racy and move their way through. Actually, that's still right. Sorry for the Premier Racing team there. So Brian Borg's teammate just struggling to get that move done. And Talianchis here, all sorts of trouble. He's got VCOG fighting back extremely hard and just licking his lips behind this little fight here. Thomas Hinds is going to attempt to make it 3 wide. He'll work their way up towards Bonchemont here. I don't know whether he's going to have the pace to do so, but he could be sniffing an opportunity up in towards the chicane.
Talianchis looked like he was on the outside of every fight, on every corner on that one. Thomas Hinds getting a bit of a hustle on through the bus stop behind this battle pack.
Just couldn't get the drive. I remember back in a few years ago where you wanted, I think every year in the Formula 1 where you kind of want to be behind around this part of the circuit so that you can pick up the draft and the DRS down the Camel Straight. Of course, no DRS in these cars, but the tow effect is strong enough that this is the place to be for Thomas Hinds. But it's just tricky to pick your line through this, because they're pushing the limits through Radion every time in terms of picking up a 1x or a slowdown. 99 is going to be under all kinds of pressure. Look at Talianchis, he's boxed in the 996 of Stockton. I think Talianchis will be able to get that move done. Meanwhile, Stokes up past Hansen. And he's just got Kimmons in front of him. Stokes now up into 21st. It's not been a strong start for him, whilst his Synergy Sim Racing teammates are having a really good run. Stokes, who's usually running top of those drivers, or near them at least, way down the order. He's up into 20th though, as long as he can make this move stick on Kimmons.
Around the outside of Mona, and he'll set himself forward. He's got McKnight now just ahead. who's engaged in a really strong battle with Greg Sharp for the SimSport team. So those guys in 18th and 19th position, but not really sure what's going on with Stokes. He had a really solid run last time out at Daytona, maybe just struggling a little bit with the setup handling in that car, but no doubt he'll definitely work his way back forward. I'm sure he'll find a few little tweaks that he can get there in the pit stops with the tyre pressures. That should help him move his way forward. Lap times for everyone starting to fall into their standard pace that we would be expecting at the moment. We saw some quick times from James Scott down in the 219s. The only man so far to have done that in race trim, but everyone's starting to level out around that low 220 range, mid 22, 21, 22 range as well. So starting to settle down a little bit, and that gap just ever increasing.
So drive the penalty for Davis then, and we'll get a replay of how this one happened. So here he goes. Oh, that's a while back, isn't it? 24 versus 25. Yeah, that's I think that's pretty obvious. Oh, and that caused a lot of mess as well. So that was back on lap 2. I think that was the one that you were talking about earlier on, Daniel, with that shunt at Lacoum. And 25 had to get back on to check a whole lot of run-up area around that part of the circuit. This was, yeah, I don't know why he's gone for it from that far back. But there is the incident. And then the grass so slippery as well with this new tyre model. Ooh, lots of off-track for Freya. Is that going to be a slowdown? I think he's all right. He's had to defend against Johnston there. I just caught my attention how far back Worley is now. So I think Worley's been defending from Dyson as well, because that gap is now up to 2 seconds between second and third positions. Worley just not with the pace of the top two, despite how promising that opening lap was for him. And Freya dropping back from that pack and appending to the drivers behind Johnston and Briggs and Shepherd. Borgrift further 4.5 seconds back.
Yeah, race leaders also just going past a streaking car on the sideline. That's looks like Jamie Dyke just off to the infield there for the Fisher Motorsports car. Not sure whether we're potentially going to see a safety car as a result of that one, but that looks like a hard hit into the wall for that car, and the whole front end of that gone. Let's see if we can get a look at the replay though, see what's unfolded. Oh, nice. Blown engine.
So he's already had a crash then, and then the engine's blown because of that previous crash, I guess. This might be it.
Further into it, down through Nene, just not looking too bad at that point. I wonder if he's already lost the engine at that point. She was,
I think we've got a safety car. Yep, everyone's come into the pits, either anticipating the safety car or because we have got a safety car. And so, the order shouldn't change too much. There was a few gaps between the top three. However, this will be big pressure now for Worley to keep behind the likes of Dyson and Johnston. Where is Freya? Freya's had a rubbish lap there. Something's happened to Freya since we went past that stricken car, because he's down to 10th place now and has lost quite a few positions from that. So they all line up in the pits, and Scott already away, and that was a pretty quick stop. Ross in second place. There's a few drivers as well just continuing, and these front guys want to stay ahead of them. Worley is in third place, Dyson in fourth, and there's some drivers taking pretty long pit stops at the moment. And I guess the question is, can you go to the end of the race from here on in? And that would be pretty tricky to go that far to the end of the race. So, but everyone's pretty much taking the same strategy, tyres and fuel. And so it's Scott leading the way, Ross in second place, then it's Worley, Dyson, Brunt moves up into fifth, Whiting up into sixth, then it's Sloggett. Johnston is next of the front runners. Next, Briggs, Shepherd, Borg, Rudd, and Freya. I wonder if we could get a replay of what happened to Freya on that last lap, because he randomly went from 5th all the way down into 10th. And is it going to be on the pit entry even?
Yeah, you caught it there, Sam. Just getting a little bit excited on the drive out. moved it up towards the wall there. So did get the car back in, but big time loss there as he tried to get back to the pit lane.
I think were we under safety car conditions by this point? I mean, to be fair, the drivers don't have like in Formula One, for example, and other motorsports we have like a delta to keep to, so they are, you know, full throttle. But I think we're pretty sure we were under safety car conditions at that point, and yeah, still spinning the car around. Shame for Freya.
Just quickly too to touch on our fuel strategies for tonight as well, Sam. Looks like based on some of the information we saw from race control earlier in the week, they're estimating around 15 laps on a tank. So at this point in the time, one should be able to get through there without any worries. The safety car ultimately should allow them to do that without any issues whatsoever. So it's actually come in a very timely manner for all of these cars.
I would still bet on having a second pit stop, because I'm not sure that we'll get 2 laps out of this safety car, nor will they have the opportunity to save more than 3 laps worth of fuel.
Also, surely just with the tyres, you know, the tyres can be absolutely dead by the 21st lap. I don't know, to be fair, I was saying this in AMF, and it turned out, I'll say, you know, they're going to have to look at the tyre stretch, look at the tyre stretch, and then after the race, they're like, what tyres? But they maybe it won't be a factor, but it's hot out here. It's a high deg circuit, and so I think a second pit stop just for some tyres could work all right. And of course, it is quite a short pit lane as well around here. You cut the first corner, as we are going to have the safety car into the pits this time round, and the field will be back under control for James Scott. This race is getting a little bit more complex for him, but he'll be used to that. He knows that a safety car is always around the corner in this championship, and so he allows the GT3 safety car to pull it away from the rest of the field, and he will have to once again launch us away, just as he did on the first lap, because he lost the lead into Eau Rouge on that opening lap of the race. He'll be hoping for better luck this time. It's his choice when to go, albeit I've got to leave it a little bit longer. Running very slowly, this will be cooling the tyres down. Of course, fresh tyres for these drivers as well. And he will be looking for a perfect launch. Ross right on his tail, leaving just a couple of meters between him and the championship leader, the champion-elect in reality. Scott flashing his lights randomly. And we're about to get back underway. Still leaving it, but I guess he'll put his foot down as we move through the final chicane. And we are back racing to start lap 7 of 21 in this round 12 of the AOSC Super Series. It's Scott leading Ross, Worley, Dyson, and then Brunt in front of the drivers who have yet to pit so far. It was a better start for Scott this time, but I think we're going to have to keep eyes on him, just because we're just going to have a pretty good draft on him going up the Camel Straight. They've got to make sure that they keep it within the track limits around this Radillon and Eau Rouge.
Yeah, a little bit of a wiggle there for Scott going through. Similarly for Ross, got a big moment on the big corner there of Eau Rouge, but able to gather it up. I don't think he suffered a slowdown as a result, but using the draft to full effect now to try and get through. And those cars a little further back down the field in our top 10, really starting to slow down our front runners who came in to stop last time by.
Yeah, Brunt's already 2 seconds behind. He's got a huge queue of cars right behind him. Even Whiting's trying to get past him. He also is yet to come into the pits. So that could be quite dangerous for the likes of Johnston and Briggs and Shepherd. And here they are. So really just make up any place that you can at any corner. Just clear each one of them one by one. Johnston might have a good chance of Whiting here going into Puon. Whiting with much older tyres, of course, but he's picking up a pretty good fight there. Nice move there from the Fishy Motorsports car. Johnston not particularly happy about it, and he's gone for another dive. And this is losing them a lot of time. This is the danger for Whiting, because whilst you can stay out, you're just going to have to spend your entire time being overtaken by other drivers. It's going to lose you a lot of time. So if anything, it's probably worth just coming into the pits anyway and avoiding this scenario. But that's what he's gone for. And he's currently staying ahead of Johnston, but Blanchemont might be quite an action-packed corner coming up.
Johnston put himself in a position to run through. Going to actually get it done nice and early on. Keep an eye on Briggs trying to get his way through as well, and he will. So those two now release. They've got back to run right ahead. And in the background, Shepherd with a little bit of a rub on Whiting that gets his car down the inside. Sloggett just, also that's Dylan Rudd, I think, just stepping aside. As everyone else works their way through. Whiting now pull over and let these guys through. So smart move from him there, and a little cheeky light flash there from Johnston, just letting that car ahead know he's on his way through.
Oh, he's already passed. Mistake there for Grunt. Grunt's a driver who I don't think we've seen that much this season. You may correct me on that one, but maybe he's in second stage. But today, he's running up with some of the best drivers in the championship, up in 7th place, albeit with another pit stop to make. He'll be quick at the end of the race, though, with those fresh tyres, of course. Talianchich also gained past Sloggett. Talianchich up into 12th position now, 8 places gained for the podium sitter on multiple occasions last season. The 777 machine. Such a long snake of cars. And they've got the gap back to Christian Smart. Must have been held up by some drivers. John Christian will be catching up to these guys very soon. And also Shepard getting ahead of Grunt. We're watching Freya getting ahead of Sloggett. So Freya's actually lost out to Talianchich since the pace car, as he's continued to drop down in his career, but at least he can this has passed much of the traffic now. He's up into 13.
He should be able to start working his way through. He's got a lot of work to do after that. A little bit of a tardy entry into the pit lane that we just managed to catch a glimpse of at the way through that safety car. So a lot of work for him to do. He's got a few opportunities to get back up and get the pace back underneath this thing. It'll be interesting to see how he goes. But it's a case of the old teammates now reversing each other to see what he can do. And Talianchich, no doubt, will have his measure at this point in time, just going very defensive just to keep that car ahead. Thomas Hinds coming back through. We saw him involved in some earlier escapades, and that car looking still quite good after it stopped down a few spots from where he started, working his way through on ladder now, all over the backs of Kyle Stokes. So he'll go up towards Marshall.
Stokes not making a whole lot of progress since the pit stop, and it cost Albia 1x as well, I believe. Oh, look at everything that's going on just ahead. Actually, I think that was Reed Thompson battling with Cameron Jones. And Smart's gained about 2.5 seconds, I think, on those cars ahead, just on this, that they have been battling that much. Look how close it is going into the source, and that's an ambitious move as well for Stokes on VCOP. That'll be alongside Throw Rouge. I wonder who's going to win out of this one. It looks like VCOP's got the better exit. Be able to get clear of Stokes into the fast uphill left, right, left. As in lead, by the way, Scott up to 1.2 seconds clear of Ross. He's just got a slight pace advantage, managed to break the draft quickly. And just moving away from his driver at the moment on that last lap was about 0.2 of a second quicker. To the car number 1, the Holden, doing very well at the moment.
Stokes getting the position on VCOP there at the end of the Camel Straight. So that was a nice move courtesy of the slipstream.
Straight, which I swear, whenever different series go to Spa, they always mention how steep the Camel Straight is every single time, because it doesn't look steep, but apparently it's very steep. I've not been here personally. If only Marky Barbier was here telling us about his various trips to this circuit, but no, apparently it is very steep, and that's why it helps with the slipstream effects as well. Stockton ahead of apologies, this is Whiting and Stockton. Stockton, who has already pitted, of course, past Whiting, who I think will probably be into the pits quite soon, unless he's waiting for another safety car. Maybe he may as well come into the pits now, because his tyres will be expiring quite soon.
With the amount of with the amount of the field who has pitted, it'd be sort of rather silly to stay out waiting for another safety car, because you will only fall down further when they all inevitably stay out.
Yep. Johnston loses out to Briggs there, so Briggs now up into 5th place. Started 8th, remember. And Johnston was held up by the traffic earlier on. Couldn't pull away after that from Briggs. Briggs up into 5th place. Shepherd and Hunt pretty close nearby as well. These guys lapping about, so in fact Shepherd was pretty quick on that last lap, 20.68, only 4 tenths slower than the race here, 3rd fastest driver on track, but Scott and Ross really in a league of their own on the most part. Here we go, 2 wide, a couple of rows back, and that's the 25 going well wide of Whiting. McKnight's off the track as well. I think Whiting or McKnight's is off the track for a little while, might have a slowdown, 4 wide or 3 wide. Going on to the Kemmel Straight, the 717 car of Kimmons, going for a mighty move down the inside. He's been able to make that one, to leave some room through the second part of Lake Coombe to make it stick. He has been able to get ahead up into 21st, Stokes up into 17th from all of that. He's gained a couple of places on that last lap. And look at the 86 down the inside, outbroke himself, I think, and did a brilliant job of locking up the tyres and just avoiding contact. Good driving as well from the 717 to leave a bit of space, quick bouncing further down. But something must have happened at La Source because they're all super bunched up. Yeah, some brilliant bouncing for these 20th positions.
Absolutely, I think a lot of that English driving too, that was all trying to avoid Whiting with that slowdown that he got going wide through Rouge as well. So that really put the cat amongst the pigeons there as everyone gets their way through. Big slide too for Neil Pearson, just getting through the double left-hander there as well as able to gather that car up and get back underway. So Peacock considering another option further up. Ball now under all sorts of attack from Tom Freer. These guys are just starting to now fall behind Talientich. She's been able to get past them.
This is Freya launching it down the inside of Brian Borg, and he'll have to do it the long way around the bus stop and be forced to fight down the pit straight.
Much better exit for Freya. Or could have a chance on the exit of La Source if he gets the cutback, or he might even just drive it in deep, go all the way around the outside. So far, very respectful driving from the pair of them. And it is going to be the cutback then. That's a good drive for Borg here. Won't be good enough though to pull alongside into Eau Rouge.
But after Eau Rouge down the Kemmel Straight, we'll see a different outcome, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's all about this exit. It's a proper corner in these cars. Unlike maybe some single-seaters. And if anything, Borg just dropping back a bit, he will get a nice bit of just... Oh no, it's a slowdown. A slowdown for Freya. Oh, well, that's a painful feeling. It's not an awful slowdown around this track. You'll lose maybe a second and a half. Also, a driving penalty for the 585 car. As for causing a collision, that was all the way back on lap 1. So the Stewards have had plenty to do. That's Matty Mascord, who was actually having a decent run. Mascord up in 26th place. He's just dropped down to 27th. But he will have to come into the pits, and that will really wreck his prospects for this race.
Screen, so that car will come down later. I wonder if that was part of all that incident we saw as everyone got up onto the Kemmel Straight for the first time down in that mid-pack. We saw a lot of cars going very wide there and getting into a few issues. So taking a long time for that one to be sorted out, but Race Control doing a fantastic job getting through all of these. As we see, Stokes works his way through on Matthew Blunt. That's a pretty forceful move, but trying to get on with business and push through. Just up the inside now, we've got Steve Varga, Ken Ladder lining up, Jamie McKnight, Greg Sharp all getting amongst it, trying to work their way through this little slow down or slow car on the way out there, but Blunt doing a good job just to avoid all that incident.
I'll say once we have... So you go on.
I was going to say it's a good day when you can fight the likes of Jamie McKnight and still walk away with it without battle scars. So doing a fantastic job there, operating a bit out of sequence.
Yeah, yet to come into the pits, of course, Brunt, but we are now halfway into this race, or over halfway into this race, so sure you will come into the pits this time round. Scott's 1.25, if anything, the momentum just shifting to Ross in recent laps. On that last lap, he closed in by 3.5 tenths of a second. That's the biggest gain he's had so far in this race. So Ross will be hoping that maybe he's got less tyre wear than the lead driver. Considering that Ross was 3/4 of a second behind Scott in qualifying, will be delighted how competitive he's been in the race. A little bit of a tow as well down the straight, albeit it's just a few hundredths of a second down into Lake Gap at at that 1 second, almost going below 1 second. So this is looking good for Ross. Has seen Scott being challenged many times this season, and it's remarkable how he's won 10 out of 11 races, albeit the one race that he did lose, he thoroughly deserved to win. He got shoved out by a back marker when he tried to overtake him at Phillip Island. That enabled his teammate Grady Myers to take the lead and held on for the race win. But there's been plenty of other occasions this season where Scott hasn't been the fastest driver in the race yet. He has been able to come out with the race win. Ross maybe making one of those occasions, but of course overtaking Scott is so tricky, as we have seen over the past couple of seasons. Watkins Glen in particular comes to mind last season. Managed to keep Freer behind for over 10 laps around the Cup layout around that track. That was a great drive, and he'll be in for another great drive tonight. Pearson on the back of Kimmond, 1.5 tenths of a second. The gap between these two, you can see the gap for yourself. Just a reminder as well, the fact that this championship isn't going to be covered on the iRacing Esports Network in the near future. The 20, I've forgotten the date. It's like the 30th of November, I think. We change, or the Esports Network will be shutting down, unfortunately. So you won't be able to watch your favourite streams. This, I'm sure, is one of them. So if you enjoy watching this championship, if you enjoy watching the Aussie Racing Fixed Championship on a Sunday evening, or the AOLTC Championship, the AOL GT Championship, and all the other series that we cover at Apex Racing TV on the iRacing Esports Network, go subscribe to Apex Racing TV, our YouTube channel. We've got about 11,000 subscribers on there, and you can catch all our streams and also a few streams that we don't usually cover on the iRacing Esports Network. So certainly do check out Apex Racing TV, get subscribed to that, and then you can watch the final few rounds of this AOSC Super Series coming up in the coming weeks. Losing a bunch of places actually just on that lap. Shame for him as Freer gets ahead of Borg again. Hinz is now ahead of these guys. Look at Freer though, he's almost on the grass. And there was not a gap there. That could have been an awful crash, similar to what we saw on the first lap. But Hinz up into the top 10 now.
Yeah, I'm starting to get on with this. He's gained a couple of spots over the last couple of tours around. That car's starting to look quite handy there. Big moment for Tom Freer trying to get up through the braking zone. I have to think better of it, pull back in behind, but it's a good opportunity for these guys now. Just settle down, get the tyres back in under the car, try and pick up a little bit of fuel where possible. We don't know whether we've got enough fuel in the tank at this point to get these cars home, considering where we pitted, which was lap 6. So this could be playing into the strategy quite nicely for these guys. But Hin's doing a fantastic job to get his way through.
Free just taking every opportunity to look upside down, inside out, left and right. He wants this move and he wants to force Hinz into it, as you see Ball getting a little taily off that corner there. Hinz is just able to skip away just by a heartbeat, but he'll feel the presence of Tom Freer ever so boldly as we head into the next series of corner. And Tom's off the track, heading into the bus stop.
No further action between 868 and 269. Racing Instance decided on that one. That was Varga, and who's the 269? I do not know. Ken Latzer, apparently. Yep, he was literally like 2 places there. So yeah, no incident between those two. I'm sure it's just a matter of time to figure. Oh, is he going to go for it here? No. Well, that wouldn't have been very smart. Outside Rouge, but he's lining this one perfectly. If anything, he's caught him up a little bit too quick here. He's not going to be able to get the momentum from the jump. He got so much momentum to their bonus round at Radion. They're making contact, and it's getting a bit personal now between the two of them. Bumping door handles there. And again, that could have been terrible. I don't know if there's a little bit of a grudge between these two, but that was all very unnecessary.
I think that would have been payback from last lap. Last lap, you made me drive in the dirt. This lap, you're doing the same.
Dylan Rudd up in 7th place. Has Rudd ever had a top 7 before? I'm not quite sure. We don't have a spreadsheet of results, unfortunately, I think. We might do, actually. I don't have it on me. I don't recall Rudd running this high. He did qualify up in 6th place and having one of his best rounds so far. He's got Corey Shepherd, though, 3rd place in the championship, right behind him.
Yeah, I believe he's a relatively new entrant to the Premier team, but the two teammates looking pretty handy at the moment, fighting their way through that top 7-8 position. So it's a good haul for these guys. The team leader a little further back down in 12th position, but will work his way further forward. The guys up front, however, starting to really stretch the advantage over 3rd place. It's only 0.4 of a second covering our top 2. And that's out to another 5 seconds off to 3rd and 4th. So these guys are really getting on with business. The gap has come down marginally now to 0.6 of a second. So wondering if Scott still playing that fuel game, because we know how tight on fuel these guys do run, and especially with where they came in on those pit stops, there's not a lot left or going to be left in the tank at the end of this. But interestingly, Jordan not able to make it happen just yet, but could be just playing that fuel strategy, saving what he can, and we'll see him come through with a good run at the closing stage of this race up over a Rouge. 15 time, not much separating either of these two.
Did sound like a lift into the turn line at the hairpin up there, so I wonder if he's lifting into any other corners. That gap is coming down a lot faster than we actually see on screen.
There was a little bit of lift as well into Lake. I think you're onto something there. No, of course, though, if Ross has got the draft, then that's going to make it easier for him. Anyway, I think Ross has just got to go for it as well. If he runs out of fuel with half a lap to go, then, well, it's then a couple of laps. But he'll be leaving absolutely nothing on the table at the moment. Their pit stops were very similar, 14.37 versus 14.15. So pretty much nothing in the fuel there, maybe a litre difference. Yes, very close between these two. I don't think anyone's going to come into the pits for tyres. I want someone to come into the pits for tyres and then be mega quick for the last 7 laps, but I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, what I would say is that Scott is lapping currently 2 seconds slower than his fastest lap of the race. That's partly down to fuel and partly down to tyres, I'm sure. There's a bit of drop off. If he did come into the pits for some fresh tyres, maybe a couple of litres extra just to make it comfortable on fuel, and maybe he would be able to he would be able to get a bit more lap time, but I doubt that's going to happen. You don't want to give away track position. If there was a safety car there, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Safety car, please, everyone.
In previous races, we've seen Jordan Ross have a gamble and throw that random dice out and see where it lands. Does he force his competitor's hand here? Does he decide to pit and then force James to have to do the same?
Yeah, hopefully. We want to see some different strategy. Stovall ahead of Thompson. And also Knights and Beacock just going off the track a little bit ahead. Battles in the top 10 starting to calm down a bit, but this one is still on. Talianchich versus Freer. And Freer has caught up. Been a turbulent day for Freer, and really should be battling with the likes of Briggs and Johnston and Rudd. She's battling with Talianchich instead, who's up 11 places, one of our highest gainers so far in today's event. And he's lining this one up nicely. This is a good distance back to be going through La Source, because then he can have a clear run through Eau Rouge and Radion.
There's a little bit of slide on the exit there, so that's going to hurt him in this opening run up the hill here, but should get a nice bit of momentum through the draft. Gets right up on the back. This is a good run up through the hill here, and he should be in prime position to get down the inside, coming to the braking zone, but Telehandshich well away to it. Parks that car just up on the inside, so Freddie don't have to go the long way around, but using that advantage to get right around, gets it in the marks and moves further forward. So another step up the ladder for him. He's got Corey Shepherd now ahead, and the next car up 4 seconds further down the road.
So 0.2 of a second, 0.3 of a second between Scott and Ross. How much fuel is Scott saving? How much fuel does he need to save? How much fuel does Ross need to save? Yeah, how much longer is he going to have to do this for? Because Le Mans, we had an incredible finish. I think that may have been, was that Ross catching Scott in that scenario as well? I'm not quite sure. Or that may have been Stokes, maybe? Not quite sure. That was a brilliant battle where Scott was having to lift and coast for the final couple of laps to get to the end of the race. Lost about 10 seconds in the last 3 laps on that occasion. Of course, Ross going for the alternate strategy on that race. He's going to come into the pits. If any of these guys are going to come into the pits, they'd have to do it now, but I doubt they are going to do it for the trigger, as they do go around for another lap. So it is just going to be a straight race to the line. Dyson actually catching up to these guys on this lap, about a 10.5 faster through sector 1, 0.3 faster through sector 3. Maybe not great through the other sectors, but overall on that lap's about 1/4 of a second faster. He's 4 seconds behind, so probably won't catch up with Dyson. But Ross is now within passing range. This is a decent gap back. He just needs to nail Rouge and Radeon, and he could be in with a chance of getting alongside the race leader.
Yeah, it was Jordan Ross at Le Mans playing that different strategy game and catching on. I didn't see him lift at the end of the straight into the bus stop there, so maybe Jordan is going hell for leather. Maybe he is taking these extra couple of laps to gnaw on the back of James Scott's car and push the envelope. But it'll be on now for the finish between these two. It's going to be an exciting end of this race.
Yeah, because if these guys are struggling on fuel, then I'm sure they're not the only ones who are struggling. I'm sure everyone's having those same issues, so they could have an exciting final lap. Ross will be, I think Ross in this scenario, I mean, you can try to play it smart sometimes, say, I'll just leave it till the last lap, save a bit of fuel. It might well be the logical thing to do, but I think when you're Jordan Ross, he's finished 2nd place or 3rd place to James Scott so many times this season. We have an opportunity to overtake, you take it. And I think that is what he will be looking for. If the line does open up and Scott leaves the inside open, then he will not hesitate to make that move for the race lead. Further back, haven't seen these guys for the most part in this race. We've seen Bowden a couple of times. These guys are now a minute behind the race leaders. There's been so much battling in the mid-pack. It's been one of the best races of the season, I think, for that battling in the mid-pack. And that's why the gap is quite as large as it is. But we've got Sharp trying to catch up to Bowden at the moment, trying to get past. By the way, everyone's come into the pits apart from Ashley Davis so far. And also, actually, Sean Chappell as well hasn't come into the pits, according to our screens at least. So those tires must be very old. And how he's managed to go this one so far.
I'd love to know what's also happened to Greg Sharp, because we saw him not maybe 3 or 4 laps ago. He was battling up around Stephen Varga in the 18th position, so he's a little bit of an issue along the way, which has got him well down the order now. And just switching over to Ashley Davis as well, just having a look at that car. So a relatively newcomer to the Caesars and having a pretty good run, not that far behind Chris Barnes and Steve Martin for Central Motorsport, right behind, having a very wide excursion there onto the back straight. Just in the background. Stovall also in the lane for the 2nd time tonight as well, so I wonder if Stovall trying a little bit of a different strategy, a bit of tyre, some fuel at the end, and we'll see what lap times he's able to put in at the very end of this race.
Or he's got a drive-through due to instance. Could be one or the other. Unfortunately, we don't have that access to show you on screen, but I can have a look at it on the iRacing sim. So far, 2 drivers have got to 25. Unfortunately, my overlay is covering up who they are. But there's a few drivers as well, kind of in the 20s. Lots of drivers in the high teens as well, so they shouldn't be able to make it. But yeah, that drivers running it tight. Really, no one immune to that. Jamie McKnight, so that on 3 incidents, I think he's on the fewest of anyone out on track. And I think also also James Scott only on 5 incidents. Some of these drivers keeping it within the track limits, some of them struggling a little bit. A disqualification escape without permission, the 0:35. So out of the race then, unfortunately. That's not sure who this is. Sugarthan. There you go, Nathan Sugarthan, out of the race. He was out of the race anyway, but he's disqualified now.
And 408 as well.
408, yeah. Kai Sloggins. Kai was running quite high up, wasn't he? I think at one point with the no stopper. Not anymore. Feels like a little bit ominous, I must say, at the moment, guys. We've seen this script a lot of times with Scott. He looks in trouble, and then he holds on for a few laps, and you're kind of wishing the best of luck to the person who he's fighting with, but it doesn't quite come to fruition. This has got a similar feeling to it right now.
Yeah, it looks pretty, still getting good drive off the first corner there, and the car looking pretty handy as it still works its way up the camera straight, but this gap a little bit further out now, 0.5 of a second, so probably the biggest it's been in relative laps, but Ross still utilising that draft quite nicely to hang in the background. I think Scott probably saved enough fuel, and he's got to get on with it now and press on. The lap times last time by for both of these guys, 2:21.17 for Ross, 2:22 or 2:21.22 for Ross there as well. So absolutely nothing separating these guys, and they've been within about 1/10 of a second at the last 4 to 5 laps now, and just doing enough to keep that gap as close as possible with this final couple of laps home.
I don't mean to take anything away from any competitors of James Scott, but this is exactly a testament to why he's wearing that number 1 on that Logitech G AOSC Sports Commodore. He knows how to drive these cars. He knows what he needs to get done to achieve what he needs to do and where he needs to go. So that's why he drives the way he does. That's often why we see the same script where he's winning.
Yeah, he just doesn't make many mistakes, does he? So I mean, I think the only mistake we've seen him make so far this season was the first lap at Le Mans. He picked up a slowdown, but I think he was back in the lead by lap 3 anyway. Barnes off the circuit down to 27. That'll be a bit of a slowdown as well for him to serve. Let's see how this one happened. It's him with his teammate. Oh, there's not contact between the two of them. The 16 goes down the inside. Oh, I think he's probably just fighting him off. Yep. Well, that was good. That's even though he avoided the track, because the Tanks SRT cars would have probably come together there. But did the wise thing and turned out of the corner. Up to 1 second now between the leaders, so Scott maybe just feel like he's got enough fuel now to get to the end of the race, puts his foot down, and that's a very strong lap time. So Ross hasn't got any slower, Scott's just got faster. And he's been able to open up that gap by 7/10 with 2 laps to go. It's looking like it's going to be win number 11 out of 12 races in this phenomenal season. Of course, keeping up Logitech G Autos Esports 100% winning record so far this championship. Hints though, he's trying to get past Salihamidzic, who of course was overtaken by Freya a little while ago. Hints who's got clear of Borg now. This is looking like a likely move. Also Johnston and Rudd as well, getting pretty close. Johnston having a couple of rough laps. But we'll stick our cameras on this battle for a bit. The 52, just a bit too far behind. Wasn't a great exit through Radion. The gap moves up to 3.5 of a second.
He won't be able to get close enough here on the brakes. He's just not finding the momentum in the final stages of the Camel Straight, but really starting to ebb and flow, getting in through the brakes there into the chicane. Not too bad. Tyres starting to go on the back of the Salihamidzic Commodore there, just struggling to get it hooked up on exit. This is a good chance for Hinds. Thinks about a shot down the inside, not quite close enough to get it done, but He's starting to come on with a couple of laps left in the bags here. Might be starting to sniff an opportunity to get through.
Kind of looking to the inside into each of these corners. I just wondered if that's the best thing to do, as Martin is ahead of apologies, that's Stovall getting ahead of Martin. He was a little bit slow to get away from that corner there. Martin actually pitted, no, Stovall of course pitted very late on. He was stationing for 6.8 seconds, so I guess he ran out of fuel. I don't think that's long enough of tyres. He needs 13 seconds to take tyres. So, yeah, he must have just needed a top up of fuel to move on to the last lap of the race. And McKnight's still in the wars. He's got Latta and Stokes just in front of him. I'm sure those three drivers would have been wanting a slightly more successful round than this. I think Stokes will be slightly satisfactory with 15th if he can hold on to it. The 269 almost goes into the back of him. There was threats of movement under braking there from Stokes, but I think that was all within the rules. And they now start their 21st and final lap.
Stokes having made quite the comeback since the opening stanza of this race. Wasn't quite up with his teammates. The rest of the Synergy cars has made quite the gains in the last few pieces of this motor race.
Yeah, been a little bit surprising that one, but a good day overall for Synergy Sim Racing. We'll have a car up in second place and a car up in sixth. Good day as well for DPR with a third, fourth and fifth, and I'll be delighted with that one. Meanwhile, Scott, you did run a little bit. Why we just glanced at him through Lake Coombe. He lost about 0.3 of a second through Lake Coombe, but he's all right now. And actually, all that's just a bit wide, I think, as well, for Ross loses a tenth or so using another 1x as well. He's absolutely done everything he could have done here, Ross. I don't think he can feel like he missed out on any opportunities. Didn't quite get close enough for an overtake when Scott was saving fuel, and then once Scott had enough fuel to get to the end of the race, he's been able to just pull away, open up that gap over a second. And in an incredible season where he won the championship last season, he's pretty much already defended his crown, frankly, with a over 1,000 points lead in the series. And this will just make it even more confirmed, frankly, as he heads through Blanchemont for the final time. And going into this race, it was 10 out of 11. It was 11 out of 11 for Logitech Gialtis Esports. He's going to make it 11 out of 12 for himself. James Scott approaches the line and he takes the race win at Spa to go with his team race win last season as well. It's Scott who wins out at Spa. Ross finishes in second place. Great third place there for Andrew Dyson. What's going to happen in this battle for the late teen positions? There's already been a couple of changes on this lap, but it's remained with Stokes ahead of Latta. They're using their 1Xs as well. Oh, it's a good run for Latta. As Stokes, if anything, run out of fuel. He seems really slow on the brakes into the final chicane. They're alongside. Can the drivers behind take advantage of this? I don't think Stokes has got any more fuel left, and he's spluttering to the line. Can he even get to the line? It's a slight incline, and he's going to lose another 2 positions. Painful for Carl Stokes right at the end of the race, and I think he's got to the line at least, has Stokes. Yes, he has, but it ended up being a 19th place. He lost 4 places right at the end, so the frontrunners weren't the only ones struggling for fuel in those closing stages. Knight against Sharp, Stovall and Gray. Stovall just getting ahead of Gray. Will be Knights who just loses out to Bowden there in 23rd and 24th. Now look at this, Brunt miles off the track with that pit stop for Brunt in the middle part of the race. That alternative strategy didn't quite work out. It was certainly the right call to come in under the safety car. I've also got Barnes chasing down Chapel. Another driver, I think, with a slightly alternative pit stop. Barnes as well with a alternative strategy, pitting very late on. and those two will finish in that order, the 420 beating the 74. We'll know that was a brilliant drive from James Scott, but just testament there to Jordan Ross. That's one of the best drives I've seen from him. He's been a real improved driver so far this season, along with Synergy Sim Racing, and he's delivered once again, second place. And when Scott's driving like that, it just seems like he's unbeatable.
Absolutely. Jordan Ross has been one of the standouts from the midpoint when Synergy Sim Racing really got together and got working on their setups and got the cars feeling exactly how they want them to drive. So he's been a standout driver, but nothing to take away from the rest of his team. They're right up there as well, with Johnston in position 6, and the rest of the Synergy teams splattered through the top half of the top scenes.
Yeah, good day for them. And we should be able to take you through your final order, I think, as long as everyone's across the line. Just a quick reminder as well, because if you've enjoyed this round, if you've enjoyed this round of the championship, if you enjoy this championship generally, if you tune in most weeks, you're going to have to subscribe to the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel in order to catch the final few rounds of the championship. We're a few weeks away from the Esports Network, unfortunately, shutting down. So go to Apex Racing TV, subscribe to that channel, and you can check out the rest of these races, along with plenty of other championships and series. I certainly hope that you can subscribe to that and watch the finale of this championship. So James Scott with the race win. There he is, 1 second clear of Jordan Ross. Did make a couple of mistakes on that last lap, did Scott, which allowed the gap to come down, but it wasn't enough. Great drive for Andrew Dyson, low key. He makes it a DPR Racing 345 with Briggs and Worley right behind him. Then it was Dylan Rudd in 6th place. He got ahead of Johnston. Apologies to Dylan Rudd. I think we missed that one. He was a second clear as well. So nice drive there from Dylan Rudd to get ahead of Damien Johnston. Corey Shepard, Tom Freer and Thomas Hinz rounds out the top 10. There was Michael Taliancic, Brian Borg, Damon Stockton, Christian Smart, Ken Latter, Jamie McKnight, Neil Pearson, Stephen Varga, Carl Stakes, Marty Hansen rounding out the top 20. There was Cameron Beacock, David Kirand, Rob Bowden, Jacob Knight, Greg Sharp, Jamie Stovald, Daniel Gray, Stephen Martin, Brett Loxton, Michael Whiting, Matthew Brunt, Scott McKeon, Sean Chappell, Chris Barnes, Mark Dial. And I did have a chat with Mark on Discord the other day, and he did. It was not Dill. Why would you pronounce it like that? It's Dial. Apologies to Mark, but I've nailed that one. Ashley Davis was in 36th. Then it was Mark Fee, Sean Thompson, Matthew Mascord, Kai Sloggett, who was disqualified actually. So too was Nathan Chugarthan, but turning back to the pits when they shouldn't have done. Jamie Dyke, Paul Warwick, and Cameron Jones were the other drivers. Nick also got a lap or two in the... also Harry Dodds took part, but Nick Holzer also got a couple of laps in the safety car. So he was a lucky man right there. Sure, he loved every moment of it. So we can get an interview with some of our drivers, and I say this every week, and I think I was saying this by like round 6. The fact that James Scott is sick of me by now, but he must be vomiting even by the thoughts of chatting to me by now, because we're going to have another race-winning interview, because it is number 11 of the season for James Scott. But James, you've had a few tough ones this season. That looked like another tough one. Talk us through, really, the chasing down of Jordan Ross. It seemed like you're saving fuel out there.
Yep, that's exactly right. I knew when the safety car was called on lap 6, we could make it home, but it was going to be close. I definitely did my homework after getting out-strategized at Daytona, and I knew I could make it. But it was very close. Obviously, Jordan had the benefit of being in the draft behind, and was able to save more than what I was. I tried to break the draft early after the safety car and then save, but I got the gap out a little bit, but I just couldn't go any longer and actually make it going flat out.
Yeah, and at what point were you able to go flat out? Because it seemed like you put in a phenomenal third to final lap, I think, where you just went like 0.7 of a second clear. I mean, was it literally just at that point where you could feel like you could put your foot down?
Yeah, that's it. I roughly had an idea of what fuel number I had to hit to be able. My goal was to be able to go flat out with the last 3 laps, and I knew sort of what number I needed to get to. And although I wasn't sure if it was right because it was just a bit of head math while I was driving, but yeah, sort of from the last 3 laps, I knew I could go pretty much flat out and make it to the end, and I only just got there.
Yeah, I mean, how much did you have spare at the end? Could you do any donuts after the race?
I got about halfway around, and then she started coughing. So yeah, I only had about half a litre when I crossed the line. So yeah, not enough to complete a full donut.
Next up, we have Road Atlanta. It's going to be a 50-80 format for that one. Now, so far, you've got a 100% record in the 50-80 meetings, and that was probably one of your easier race wins so far this season. At Alton Park, you got pole, and then really around that track, you can't overtake, and you had the pace anyway, and you had your teammate behind you. I mean, dream right there. You looking forward to that 50-80? I mean, how does it differ from the other rounds? Is it much different for yourself, or do you kind of just treat it as one race, because it is almost just one 130-kilometer race those?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think the format at Alton Park was quite good, running the 50-80 purely because of, like you said, it's really hard to overtake, and it probably got a bit boring if you ran a 150 there. You're just stuck behind cars. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes at a track like Road Atlanta. Obviously, it's highly different to Alton Park. I really like the track, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's I just treat it as any other race. Just have to focus on the key areas during the race and make sure I get those spot on, and the result should come.
Will Brady be back next week?
I'm not sure, to be honest. He's busy with some other series going on at the moment. That's taking up a lot of his time. But I believe after that, I think we might have an enduro, so he'll definitely be back for that one. But yeah, I'm not actually sure about next week. I might have to get on the Facebook message.
Yeah, maybe. Well, big thanks for having a chat with us. James, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, obviously all the guys at Altus Esports and our great partners, Logitech G, Astro Gaming, Cube Controls, Own 3D, Racetech Seats, and obviously the AOSC admin, and you guys for putting on a great broadcast.
Awesome. Thanks for having a chat with us, James, and best of luck, as if you need it, for next week.
Thanks, guys.
James Scott there for Logitech G Altus Esports. Next up, we'll have a chat with our second place man, Jordan Ross, and he's standing by with Daniel.
Thanks, Sam. Jordan, another fantastic drive for yourself and the Synergy team. You guys must be wondering what you've got to do now to get that top step on the podium. Tell us about the race tonight. The car looks to be in really good stead. How did you find things after that safety car came out?
Yeah, it was a really fun. I love this track. A really fun race. Nice and flowing and all that. James just had that bit of an edge, and we were all saving fuel from the safety car. We're all just a little bit short, so the plan was to try and stick with him and make him use a bit of fuel while saving a bit behind him, and the last 3 laps have a crack. But he was saving enough so he could go full stick in the last 3 laps. So good on him. But we'll get there. Eventually, we'll get him.
Absolutely. There's been a really good return to form for the Synergy guys this season. I know it was a little bit tough for everyone moving across, yourself and your teammate coming over from ERT last season, moving across. It was a little bit of a struggle. You guys now look like you found form in this car It's really starting to show. Next week, we're off to the 50-80 split, Road Atlanta. Very different circuit to what we've seen tonight here at Spa. How are you feeling about that one? What are your thoughts on the circuit? And do you think you've got something in the bag you might be able to unleash and get ahead of James Scott for once?
Yeah, we're a lot closer than we were. So, and the 50-80 brings out a bit of, not sure what the go is with the pit stops or whatever, but it brings up a bit of carnage in the 50-80. So you never know. But we've got plenty of guys in our team now that can, win a race, like Damo and Tom Freer. He's just joined and he's looking super quick. Like, he's quicker than me really at the moment. And Christian Smart and Kyle was back tonight. So just hopefully one of our synergy cars can get the win before the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys found really good form tonight, starting second and third, and obviously on the up and up. Freer, a fantastic new signing for you guys coming across. No doubt he's got a little bit of input that potentially going to help with that setup. But looking forward to seeing how you guys go with the final few rounds of the championship. But before we let you go, mate, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out and a thanks to?
Mate, thanks to all the boys in the team who are of being sick, so they've been doing setups and making the car awesome. The race car was awesome tonight. Everyone at Synergy, JK Signs, Posies, mechanical repairs, you guys doing the broadcast, and Nick and all the guys over at AOSC for rolling up every week and putting this on. Thanks, guys.
That was John Ross, second place finisher for Synergy Sim Racing. We're going to have one more interview. It's going to be with our third place man, Andrew Dyson, and he is standing by with Noe.
G'day, Andrew, and welcome to third place tonight. It was I would say, a pretty quiet achiever tonight. It was a bit of a schmozzle at the start, but then it seemed like it was a pretty smooth sailing. How was the race from your angle?
Yeah, thanks, man. How you going, guys? It was pretty smooth sailing at the start for me. I saw a bit of mischief in the background, but didn't quite catch all of the drama that was going on, though obviously we ended up with a safety car. But it was good to start up the front, or at least close enough to, and get ahead of all that, the schmozzle, and cruise along there with Worley until we got to the first safety car, which, from that point onwards, as you said, it was pretty plain sailing. We just cruised along and got to the finish.
And how fuel conscious were you in your car?
I think everybody in that race would have been fairly fuel conscious, unless you were back in the pack and you had a big tow and saving a lot. I think Worley would have been pretty good behind me saving a bit of fuel, but I think mostly everyone would have been saving fuel, and we're all pretty fuel conscious. Yeah,
it looked like it was a well fought race, I'll call it, because the fuel would have been hard to keep in mind. It was an excellent result from the DPR Racing, though, with the 3, 4, and 5 tonight. The team must be looking forward to finding more of that success and more of those cars up the front next week out at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, absolutely. We're super happy about that. Personal achievement, getting a podium is one thing, but even better to see three of us in third, fourth, fifth, with Briggs coming back from a bit of a poor qualifying by his standards and his own admission. So it's great to see him come back up and get up there into fifth. I think it was fifth, fourth by the end of the race. So yeah, we're certainly looking forward to keeping up that standard. Yeah, fourth, cool. I should know that, right? Shouldn't I? So we're looking forward to keeping up that standard and hopefully doing the best we can. We're learning a lot about this car all year and trying to get up there for sure.
I think DPR has been one of the better teams to have found form over the course of this season. As we've seen the season go on, it's been yourselves up there with Synergy and that sort of punching towards the back end of the Logitech. So it's been awesome to see from our side. Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for starters, the DPR team, all the guys in the team doing a great job. That's why we're up here tonight. We're doing a great job with the fourth, fifth, and third. Sorry, almost forgot I was on the podium. And of course, I can go through our sponsors as well. We've got BetSmart Racing Services, Ben Max Mechanical, Southwell Lifts and Hoist, been on the car for a long time, those three sponsors, and of course Simrigs.com, which came on not too long ago. So a great bunch of guys at Simrigs.com. If you're looking for the best deals, make sure you hit them up.
Well, it's awesome to see you guys up there tonight. Excellent to see you on grabbing your podium tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you at Atlanta. Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys.
Richie Dyson for DPR Racing with a very impressive podium tonight, 3rd position. Might just get a couple of replays actually of the first lap incidents because we didn't see exactly what happened, but that was a big one down the Kemmel Straight. So we'll just try to catch what happened with that. Unfortunately, I can't see this one. I didn't know you were, if Daniel or Noah, you can see this one. It seems like we're struggling a little bit, but I'm sure you viewers can watch it anyway, because just a reminder, it gives us another opportunity to remind you, and it's that we're going on about it, but it's important. It's because the Esports Network will be shutting down in a couple of weeks' time, so subscribe to Apex Racing TV. You're going to be able to watch this championship. One of the events of the championship might be broadcasting next week on the Esports Network. After that, we'll be solely on Apex Racing TV. And of course, we've also got the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship on a Sunday, and of course the various ARL series, particularly ARL TC, and all those popular championships which are currently on the Esports Network will be just on Apex Racing TV in a few weeks' time. So certainly do check out Apex Racing TV for that. Go give the channel a subscribe, and we would mega appreciate anything that you can do for that one. And of course, you can continue watching our fantastic events. So this was an incident with Ken Latson, and his opening lap was pretty chaotic. And we also had a pretty impressive move as well for Philip Worley to move up into the lead. At that point, it looked very strong, but apart from that, Scott was pretty much invincible out there. What we expecting for Road Atlanta? That's of course nicknamed the roller coaster circuit. In a way, it's maybe a little bit similar to this place with a lot of kind of high speed elevation change corners. Any pointers for that track coming up?
Just packies. like you pointed out, Philip Worley got a fantastic jump tonight down the El Rouge and battling James Scott straight away. Very similar to Road Atlanta with how you can fly up into that second corner over the crest and then down the hill through the roller coaster up through into the flowing section. So there's some real fast sections over the back of the circuit and then an Irish roller coaster to bring everyone back down to earth at the very start of Road Atlanta. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting back over to a circuit which is, I wouldn't say less common, but not as long as Spa.
Yeah, again, I think the drivers will have quite a bit of experience around that place and a little bit of an easier circuit, I guess, with just the length of a few less corners to nail. But it will still be a great test. One of our favourite circuits, one of the favourite circuits in the world, I'm sure, is Road Atlanta. So it will be great to visit there in the near future. Before you go, we will just send a thanks to all the sponsors for the championship, because they are the people that make this championship possible. Acuta, providing height safety and rigging equipment. I've been on their website. I don't know anything about height safety and rigging equipment, but there's a lot of stuff on there. That's what, was my takeaway. All the menus, absolutely crazy amount of stuff. Didn't know there was so much in height safety and rigging. So go to Akita Solutions. That would be a big appreciation. Also sponsor the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship. So really thanks to Akita Solutions for all of their work. Jinx Shifters, making brake bias and ARB adjusters, and also proper gear shifters as well. Really fantastic. If you're looking to upgrade your rig, do check them out. Race Circuit Arts Australia, making CNC race circuits, which are absolutely awesome to hang on your wall. You can have, I think, pretty much all the Aussie circuits, all the circuits located in Australia, and also circuits from around the world they can have designs for. So do check out Race Circuits Arts Australia. Also, Sick Game Imagery, who will be doing the action shots from this round of the championship, so check them out on the AOSC Facebook page. Wolf Graphics, Aussie-made stickers, and will also be providing the winners stickers as well at the end of the championship. And also West End Mazda, Too Easy Finance, and Parramatta Isuzu Utes, all Sydney car dealers, led by Jamie McKnight. Check out them if you're looking to buy a car in the Sydney area. That's West End Mazda, Too Easy Finance, and Parramatta Isuzu Ute. Big thanks to, of course, the organisers for this championship for the stewarding, and thanks to you guys for tuning in for this round of the series. Of course, leave a like on the video. Don't subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. There's no point. It's shutting down soon. Subscribe to Apex Racing TV instead. Go over to our channel, subscribe to that, and you can check out all our fantastic broadcasts in the near future. But for now, from me, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Daniel Leet, from Matthew Norris, and from Scott Newton, we are going to say goodbye. It is now 11 out of 12 for James Scott. We head to Road Atlanta for next week for the 50-80 event. 2 races coming up. We will see you back then.